Dana Dykhouse, Dave Rosenboom, who's the CEO and the president of First Premier Bank, and myself, we hit every operation in the state. So we were in Watertown, we were in Huron, we were in Dakota Dunes, we were in Sioux Falls, having staff meetings with 2,000 employees. And this was our last opportunity before the election. And we said, we need to educate our employees of what's going on. And that's not an easy task, talking politics to your staff. And the three of us sat down and we said, we have to do it. It's our responsibility to at least educate the people so they make the right decision, or at least a well-educated decision in November. Well, I started out at the staff meeting telling them we're going to talk politics. And Dana, Dave, and I, none of us enjoy talking politics at these staff meetings, but we thought it was important to educate them again so they could make the right decision come November. And we said that there's two issues that are critical out there today with this election coming up in November for our organization. And the two are really tied together. One is regulation, and the other is healthcare. And healthcare is really a regulation as well. But it's such a big animal, we wanted to separate it. Well, the first thing I want to do is let them know that regulation, we have to be careful. Government is getting too involved in regulation. I'm not sure if any of you watched the Democratic convention a couple weeks ago, but I did, at least pieces of it. Elizabeth Warren was up there, and she's the individual that started the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And she told how she started this small agency to get banks in line to make sure that they fully disclosed issues to their customers so the customers could understand them. Well, that small agency today has over 1,000 employees. Average salary, over $100,000. Their goal is to be at 1,800 employees by the end of this year. That's a small agency. What's surprising with that agency is they're doing the same thing that the Federal Reserve does, the FDIC does, the OCC does, and our state banking regulators in every state. They do the same thing. I thought, okay, 1,000 employees today, 1,800 by year end. Well, the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, the OCC, and the state banking regulators have probably cut their staffs. How many believe that has happened? It hasn't. And they're duplicating services. That's just one example of regulatory abuse that's out there. You look around the room. We have friends from the fast food industry. That's being attacked. If you watch the news today, we have our school lunches now being attacked because the kids don't get enough food there with the new regulations that came through for the subsidies this year. It's not right. We should be able to make our own decisions, not be mandated by the government every time something happens. Well, the other is today's business. If you're big, if you're successful, you can be small and successful, you're bad. You go back generations. The next generation has always had it better than the prior generation. And that's the American dream. Work hard, be dedicated, commitment, do the right things, and you're going to be successful. That American dream is disappearing. What I'm afraid for is my kids, and I have no grandkids today, but I soon will, hopefully, but it's those individuals won't have the opportunity that we had. And that's the belief to work hard, to do the right things. I don't see that out there. Now I want to jump into the health care and how important that is for us. I think everyone in this room would agree that the health care program today has to be changed. It has to. But the health care mandate out there today, that they have out there, is wrong. We need to make changes to our current plan, but that's not the way to do it. We have to do it right. I think it all goes back to the initial approval. When you look at it, it was Nancy Pelosi that said, sign it, you can read it later. Our organization, we're still trying to understand it. And you heard today the changes that continue to happen with it. We paid people on the accounting side, we paid people on the health insurance side, and and attorneys to try to better understand for our company. And we're struggling because it's constantly changing in the impact. Well, there's also something in there that you've heard all afternoon. The government is forcing individuals and organizations to go out into the marketplace and buy a product that violates their conscience, their religious beliefs, and their teachings. How can they do that? Again, they're forcing us to purchase a product that violates our conscience, religious beliefs, and our teachings. It's just wrong. Well, we have a group in town that is going around, and they're giving a very thorough study on the healthcare mandate, and that's Eide Bailey. And I asked them for their overview, which is probably about probably 100 pages. And I wanted to take out a few pieces of that so that I could share with the staff at First Premier Bank Card the impact. And I want to share with you, hopefully this will come up, the impact. This, I think, is just a great slide. And what it does, the left-hand side shows you the increased revenues. Taxes, 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 taxes. Surprise. The right-hand side, look at the first two items. Almost $300 billion, Medicare. They're going to cut expenses in Medicare. Almost $300 billion. Then you look at the next big item, number 4. Almost $100 billion in other reductions. What are they? I don't have a clue. Do you? They probably don't have a clue. That's what we're going to be forced with. Now this next slide I think was really interesting. This is a company with 133 employees, just an example of a company. Called it XYZ Company. In 2011, with these 133 employees, the business or the company share of their employees' insurance dollars was $485,000. With normal increases through our current insurance program today, in 2014, the company share will be approximately $735,000 for this number of employees. This is where it gets interesting. The government is incenting businesses to drop their insurance on their employees, and if they do so, I don't know if it's a tax or a penalty or what they're going to call it now, but the company will be charged $206,000. So they can save $500,000 by dropping their insurance for their employees. If you're a business, that's a pretty tough decision then when you start looking at the dollars that you would be saving by dropping coverage for your employees. Employees could still be covered through the government exchange programs. This next page, this is what happens to the employee. In 2011, their piece of the company's share was $234,000. In 2014, with those increases going through, their share will be $360,000. If the businesses drop their insurance on their employees, they will have to pick up and go through the exchange. Their costs will be over $500,000. That opened some eyes at the staff meeting. This next and last page I have shows you what happens on an individual basis. And this is somebody with an individual coverage. In 2014, the employee costs would be $1,300 covered by their business, or excuse me, if their business continues to have insurance. Their piece of it would be $1,300. If their company drops that insurance for a single coverage, their cost is going to be $1,800. What's it do for the business? This same business, again, 133 employees, today, or in 2014, if they continue coverage, their cost per employee is going to be $5,100. They drop that coverage and take the government bribe or whatever you want to call it to drop the insurance, their cost is going to be $2,000. We've looked at it and we have almost a $5,000 save per person in 14, our organization, 2,000 employees with the coverage we have. That's a lot of money out there. And we shared this with our staff. I wasn't going to say not to scare them, but no, it really was to scare them. But it was to make them understand the impact of this bill. And it's a sensitive subject, talking with your staff, but they don't understand this. They don't know it. There's so many things that are hidden and continue to change in the health care bill.
Now, Miles, on that, with that cost savings, wouldn't the employer be expected then to return some of that savings back to the employee so they can go out and purchase exchange insurance?
It's up to the employer. That'd be nice of them to do.
That'd be the Christian thing to do.
It'd be the Christian thing to do, or they might do a piece of it.
But the numbers don't quite match out. There's a little.
Oh no, and then the big question comes, after this happens, if this goes through, what are the unintended consequences? When you see the drop here with what the company's paying and what the increases with the employees are paying through that exchange program, is that going to be enough to cover the majority of people being covered? No. Those prices are going to continue to skyrocket. Are these people, now that we dropped our organization's health care, are they going to be able to go to the doctor that they want? They may be. I doubt it. Are they going to be able to get the services they want that they are today, that they have today? They may. I doubt it. But those are the unintended consequences that we just don't understand today. So again, I didn't mean to bore you with this, but I just thought it was interesting. And really, the group asked me to share what I shared last week at the staff meetings. And after the staff meetings, how did the people take it? I thought it was going to be a 50-50 get blast and thank you. I had over 100 emails saying thank you. I received 5 cards from our employees saying thank you. I received 1 email from an individual that was very upset that I shared this information, that they didn't think the business, the employer was the place to, the work of business was the place to do it. But then after every staff meeting as well, people were lined up to shake my hand and thank me for sharing that information. Nobody, person to person, came up to me and said they were upset. And I look at it, and it goes back to that thought 2 weeks before the staff meeting. We have to share this information. And again, Ida Bailey did a great job preparing, and this is just 4 slides out of a deck. And I tried to get it so that it could be very easy to understand. Okay, now, enough with me. We'll sit down with the panel and open it up for questions.